It just sounds like these schools now have turned into essentially babysitters with no accountability.
Too much propaganda, spiritual pollution, too many problems, not enough solutions, so many billionaires that make no contributions, gotta create fund and maintain our institution.
All right, listen up, y'all.
Greetings, everybody. This is another episode of All Things Education Official. I'm your host and educator, DrAbdullah, giving you educational news from a foundational Black American mass perspective. If you like what you're seeing and like what you're hearing, please subscribe, comment, like, and share. Put us in the algorithm. If you like, follow me on my social media handles at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, LinkedIn, and X. Well, we need to look at what's going on over in the great city of Baltimore, Maryland. I would give you a preview, but I just want you to see for yourself.
The Maryland State Department of Education released the 2022 state test results and found just 7% of 3rd through 8th graders are proficient in math. That means 93% of kids are not where they should be in the subject. Even more troublesome for the state, in its greatest metropolitan area, 23 Baltimore schools had 0 students meet the standard. 2,000 students took the math test, and not one could do math at grade level. A Baltimore resident filed a lawsuit against the district claiming they're failing to educate students and in the process misusing taxpayer funds. Giovanni Patterson said, quote, "These kids can't do math. You're not preparing them to buy groceries. You're not preparing them to do accounting, to count their own money. You're not preparing them to read contracts and negotiate salaries. It just sounds like these schools now have turned into essentially babysitters with no accountability." This is not just a Maryland problem and not just a problem in math. The National Center for Education Statistics released a report this month on the decline in children's education since the pandemic. Half of students in the country are behind in at least one subject.
According to the article entitled Time for Choice, 23 Baltimore schools have 0 students who are proficient in math. The only way these public schools are ever going to improve is if they are forced to compete with other schools and start being held accountable for what they teach and don't teach in the classroom. The statistics show that the public school system in Baltimore has failed to properly prepare students for the workforce, and residents want answers. Amongst the most concerning numbers is the fact that in 23 of Baltimore City schools, no students tested proficient in math. Exactly 2,000 students in total took the state math test at these schools. Not one could do math at grade level. Not one could do math at grade level. On the Maryland Comprehensive Assessment Program, students are graded on a scale of 1 to 4. To be proficient, a student must score a 3. While 23 schools had no students receive a score of proficient in math, 20 other schools only had 1 or 2 students who were proficient in mathematics. Not a single high school student in the city of Baltimore scored a 4 or the distinguished level on the assessment. According to the WorldPopulationReview.com, Baltimore's population makeup is Black or African American at a rate of 61.25%, white 28.42%, 2 or more races 4.42%. I think it's fair to say that Baltimore has a major problem on its hands. It's not a coincidence that this is another predominantly Black city. I can hear the white supremacists walking around saying that's the culture, that is Blacks, and they even go to the intellectual IQ argument. But we know the truth over here on All Things Education Official. We know that the reason why Black cities, Black schools in Black cities are failing is because it's systemic. We are not allowed to control our own education. We have not, as a community, and I put this on us, as a community, we have not come together to create fund and maintain our own institutions. So we are stuck with these scraps. And at this point, it's not even scraps. You can no longer kick this can down the road. We are officially at the end of the road. What do we need to do, you may ask? Well, I will say the same thing as before. If you do not have the financial wherewithal to have your child in a private school, which I understand the majority of the country cannot, it is incumbent upon you to find a school of choice, be it charter, Montessori. You need to use school hubs, homeschool pods, homeschool associations, especially if you're in cities like Detroit, Chicago, Baltimore, predominantly black areas. You need to be on your grind. And if you cannot, you need to take time out to go to school board meetings, city hall meetings, state planning meetings to find out what's being put in these curriculums, how are teachers being held account, and what happens in the event that something like this, which is a sin, a shame, it's a crime to the FBA family and our children. It's a crime to any child. But over here, we are primarily, secondarily, and tertiarily concerned about what's going on in the Black American community. And that's what we're dealing with, because this type of things you will never see in another community, because they take education seriously as it pertains to their children. And as you said, and I know it to be true, most of these schools are acting as glorified babysitters. I was always told that if you want to find out why a child does what it does, take them to their home, do a home visit. And I can tell you, a lot of parents, it's not that they don't care about education. It's just that staying afloat, staying above water, paying the bills, making sure that people are safe, that's their primary focus. So if they can have 8 hours free in which they can do that, they will entrust their children with people that they do not know. And that is the American educational system. It is up to us to change the narrative. We can no longer wait for the next presidential candidate, the next mayor, the next do-good guy, the talker on the internet that says, I think we should do. No, we need to be having solution-based and solution-oriented conversations. Once again, this is Dr. Abdullah with another episode of All Things Education Official. If you like what you're seeing, you like what you're hearing, please subscribe, comment, like, and share. You have content ideas, please email me at DrAbdullah@AllThingsEducationOfficial.com. You are dismissed.
Yeah! You are all expurgated. You are dismissed.
Too much propaganda, spiritual pollution. Too many problems, not enough solutions. So many billionaires that make no contributions. Gotta create fund and maintain our institutions. Word to the masses, our government is backwards. Only thing I've learned is what a barrel and a crab is. Deploying all these tactics to keep us all distracted. Scrolling on our gadgets and we scroll right past it. While we caught up in the fashion, they sitting back laughing. This education we're lacking, all the laws they be passing. Peep the curriculum, you see they're subtracting the necessary work. These kids mentally absent. Turned out full plastic.